Let me really find out what is it everyone's speculating and talking about. What they're speculating and talking about is this event that JD Vance, who's supposed to be the vice president of the United States, he went to a Talking Point USA event to cosplay as Charlie Kirk and take some debates from the people in the audience because JD Vance has nothing else to do. But she got real weird when Erika Kirk went up there and introduced JD Vance. Did y'all see this?
I am tremendously blessed and honored tonight to be able to introduce to you a very, very dear friend and his wife. They are incredible. And I see no one will ever replace my husband. No. But I do see some similarities of my husband in JD, and Vice President JD Vance. I do. And that's why I'm so blessed to be able to introduce him tonight. He's an amazing man. So please help me welcome to the stage Vice President JD Vance.
Erika Kirk introducing the Vice President of the United States to cosplay as Charlie Kirk at a TPUSA event with a bunch of young folks that are supposed to talk to them and, I guess, debate. Why do you have to give a disclaimer that no one would ever replace your husband? That, what? It was like the beginning, the second week of September when that happened. Why would you have to give that disclaimer before you introduce the Vice President of the United States that you said is a lot like and reminds you so much of your late husband? I mean, that would make people go, what? Why'd you have to say all that? What does that have to do with anything? People also noticed the way that she was introduced herself and, the change in attire. That's different. I mean, there was a lot of, traditional wife garb. There was a lot of flowing, covering up things. But now there's some tight ass. I thought pleather. Everyone's saying leather pants. And people got to noticing. So after she had that opening where she was talking about how this guy reminds her so much of her husband, but never could replace him, there was an embrace. And people got to thinking, bro, look at this. They're like, where are their hands? Her hands are gripping his arm and shoulders. His hands are on the hip. He said, these are some nice ass leather pants, Erika. It wasn't only that. Oh, it got worse. And then they had a public embrace in front of the adoring crowd that cheered their asses off, who maybe then went, say what? Running her fingers through the back of his hair. A tight embrace even. So people got to speculating and they got to wondering, what's going on? It's weird because suddenly Erika Kirk, as many people that they tried to shut up and silence about how weird it was, how quickly she seemed to have gotten over this horrific public murder of her husband. When they had the fireworks event at his, funeral, where it looked like a WWE event that many people said it was. Fireworks, flares shooting all over the place. It was a celebration. And, many folks in different cultures have a celebration of life for people when they pass. But that was like a celebration of MAGA taking over and telling everyone that they need to be silent. And they're going to use this as a hammer, bludgeoning everyone to shut the hell up. Don't you dare say anything to us. Don't you dare cross us. Because then we'll see you as dangerous and one of the people that we need to rein in. So since that's been the case and people are beginning to realize this is kind of weird, JD Vance was answering questions. And if you guys don't realize it, I'm sure people do. He's married to a woman named Usha. That doesn't sound like or look like anything of Erika Kirk. She's Hindu. This is when he talked about her background and her religion versus JD Vance and his fake Christianity.
Now, most Sundays, Usha will come with me to church. As I've told her and I've said publicly, and I'll say now in front of 10,000 of my closest friends, do I hope eventually that she is somehow moved by the same thing that I was moved in by church? Yeah, I honestly do wish that, because I believe in the Christian gospel, and I hope eventually my wife comes to see it the same way. But if she doesn't, then God says everybody has free will, and so that doesn't cause a problem for me. That's something you work out with your friends, with your family, with the person that you love. Again, one of the most important Christian principles is that you respect free will. Usha's closer to the priests who baptized me than maybe I am. They talk about this stuff. My attitude is you figure this stuff out as a family, and you trust in God to have a plan, and you try to follow it as best as you can, and that's what I try to do.
He just wishes his wife, Usha, he just wishes she was Christian. As we're looking at this whole domino effect go, and that's what people are speculating on, I'm just pointing out the speculation, bro. From the weird, he could never replace my husband, but he reminds me so much of him, to the odd new gear and garb that she's wearing, to the tight embrace, to them looking like they're very close and not just as buddies that people speculate, to then him saying, I just wish my wife was a faithful Christian like Erika Kirk is. It's got people asking questions, bro. And we already know that JD Vance is a shameless, unprincipled politician who's looking for nothing but more power, who's been handpicked by people like Kevin Roberts of the Heritage Foundation, and also all these billionaire folks who celebrated the decision for Donald Trump to choose him as his vice president. And the guy now is trying to be sanitized because he was a weird guy who hated him some Donald Trump. And then he morphed into someone else when he found itself politically expedient for him. He's got a background of shedding anything that keeps him from being in power. The problem is nobody likes JD Vance. Oh, by the way, this has been like a pattern for MAGA after Charlie Kirk was killed. They don't give a damn.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty. It'll be an absolutely magnificent structure. And I just see all the trucks. We just started, so it'll get done very nicely, and it'll be one of the best anywhere in the world, actually.
The reporter asked, how has the last day and a half been? Day and a half? I would assume that's a day and a half after his buddy, and they said, the new messiah of their entire movement, Charlie Kirk, was murdered in front of everyone. But he could not stop talking about his ballroom. I don't think he even heard the question. He said, very nice. I'm doing fine, whatever. What are you talking about? Who? And moved on to talk about his glorious ballroom. He did this, I think, the next day. Here he is at the Yankees game. It was probably the jinx and why they got their asses whooped. The entire movement was in mourning. If people that despised the despicable things that Charlie Kirk stood for, which many people did, they got called dangerous, terrorist, murderous, horrible rhetoric. If they were dancing and talking about Charlie Kirk or moved on as soon as someone asked them about him, they'd go, how dare you? But the president of the United States moved on real quick. It's the same energy we keep seeing. JD Vance is moving on. It seems that way. Erika Kirk moving on.